Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. My name's Tracy, and I'm here with my husband, Noel. He's in the background doing those graphics that you see on the screen. Good morning, Southern Charm, Fair Maiden. Hello, everybody. I see all kinds of friendly names in the chat. Thank you for coming in at 7 a.m. on a Friday morning. Sometimes I wonder, I get out of bed at 7 a.m., or I get out of bed way before 7 a.m., but on Friday mornings, I'm like, what was I thinking doing this so early in the morning? But here we are, and this is the time it's going to be. So,
Custom wood burning is in the house. Good morning.
Good morning. It's very early for you. I shouldn't have been complaining about 7 a.m. All right. Good morning. M and B Vintage. I had to slow down or else I would have tripped over my words there. Good morning. So, couple of announcements. Hello, Daisy Lane. What's coming up? That's how we always start our Friday show, just kind of telling you what is happening over the weekend and what's coming up for the week. And y'all got to excuse me. My eye is like all watery. I'm not crying. There's no reason to cry. I don't know what's going on. Tonight we have the Styled Collection show. I am really excited about this. We have been working very, very hard on this show. I have high hopes for it, so we will see how it goes. But basically, we have turned our whole dining room into a studio to sell from for you. Everything is styled. So everything we're selling is styled. Basically, in our dining room, if it is not a piece of furniture or bolted into the wall or ceiling, it is for sale. So we have it all set up. The whole table is set, stuff in the china cabinet. Did you see the preview? Thank you. Yes. If you go to the show itself and you kind of open it up, we do have a very short video. We have made a few changes since then, added a few more things. Didn't take anything away, but we added some stuff. I hope you can too. I'm really excited about it. So we'll see how it goes. We've been practicing. My husband's been busy with all his technology stuff up there. And we're going to do it. We're going to go around and just sell everything there. Now, it is going to be a little bit different in the sense that I have, I don't know, close to 100 items, and like 90 of them are all going to start at $1. There are a few items that I pulled from the bin that are higher priced items that I needed to kind of fill out the decor. So there are a few bin items that I moved over to the auction tab. Those have higher prices, but there's only a handful of those. There's still going to be the typical dollar starts. So $4.50 shipping tonight. So you'll get great deals and have a good selection. All right, so that's tonight. And then this week, it's the last week of every month that I have a show every single day. I'm not sure why I scheduled it that way. I do things, and then after the fact, I'm like, what in the heck were you thinking with that? However, Sunday, Battle of the Best. We have Battle of the Best coming up on Sunday. I have 2 Delft plaques. I'll grab one really quick to show you. Let's see.
While she's doing that, Southern Charm, what I'm going to have her do is take a photo, and we'll share that later on the production side.
Yes. So I have 2 of these. They are matching. It is a pair. They're going to be sold together. This is the smaller one. The other one's about, 3 inches bigger than this one. So this is my Battle of the Best item. It is up for bids. It already has a couple of pre-bids, which I'm really happy about. That is this Sunday at 12:20. I have 5 minutes to sell these 2 plaques. And those are late 1800 antiques. So those are really cool. Then later on that day, later on Sunday, we have Better Together. Oh, real quick. Battle of the Best is put on by CG Boomerang Echo and TLC Mama Bear. Then later on Sunday, there is Better Together Seller Support Raid Train, and that is hosted by Blasian Bunny. This is such a really neat concept that Blasian Bunny came up with. She has a raid train, and people aren't selling stuff. Nobody's selling anything. It is 20 minutes for each seller to talk about a topic that's helpful to other sellers. And there is a wide range of topics. So throughout the day, every 20 minutes, a different seller is going to come on and kind of talk about something that they're experienced or just that they want to share with other sellers. And one of our requirements is we have to give away something that is useful to another seller. So I'm going to be giving away that day one of my Ledger to Leadership books. We'll talk about these later in the show, but that is my giveaway on Sunday for that one. And then on Sunday, like if that wasn't enough, we have our podcast. So Zoe's Treasures, Green 13, and I Love Discounts all come together on Sunday evenings to do a podcast on YouTube. and it is a live podcast, kind of like a Whatnot show where you can log in and ask questions. But instead of just getting my answer or Jeremy's or Tony or Lyssandra's, you're going to get all three of us to answer your question at the same time. So it's kind of like, 3 for 1. That is what's happening on Sunday. There was a lot going on Sunday. Then Tuesday, Big Kahuna's Raid Train. One of our favorite people, I Love Discounts, is going to be there. In the Big Kahunas, this is where the big guys, 20,000 followers, 15,000 in sales, good rating, couple of other requirements, battle it out to see who gets to have the title of the Big Kahuna of Whatnot. And whoever it wins comes back the next month to defend their title. So TBC Productions is coming back this month to defend their title. That was our winner last month. They may be a winner again. We'll see. But those sellers get points throughout the night. And Southern Charm, who's in the chat, she is the moderator. And let me tell you, and it's not just her. It's her and her husband, Tim. There's me and Noelle doing it. It is a great raid train, and it takes a lot of people behind the scenes because we're all trying to keep score, and then we compare notes to make sure nobody missed something and that we're nice and fair to everybody participating. So that's a big one. That's Tuesday night. Wednesday night is the raid train I host that's called New Seller Surge. It is 6 new sellers, 20 minutes apiece, and that's where they try something new. A lot of them, it's their first raid train. So that is Wednesday, and all of these are in my show, so you can bookmark them. Then Thursday, good morning, a Monster Mama. Thursday is I get to co-host. I have the honor of being co-hosted on Coastal Peacock Company, Coastal Peacock Co. Their show. They do a show every week called Watering the Seeds, and this is at 9:00. And they've asked me to be on the show and come and talk about business and tax stuff. Good morning, Kimmy.
Good morning, Monster Mama.
So I'm going to do that on Thursday, and there is more coming up next weekend, but I've already talked to them enough about what's coming up. Those are the big things between like now and the next 7 days. Wise old bag lady, hello. So there's just a lot. So just in case you need a little dose of Zoe's treasures, every single day this week I will be on. Today, if you are interested in purchasing anything, coupon codes are 5 and 3 today. So if you put those two codes together, those two cards, their codes on the back of them, you get $5 off anything you may want to purchase today.
Good morning, Sunshine Vintage Style.
Hello, Sunshine.
And yes, she's going to run me ragged.
I am. It is such a busy week. And then, of course, on top of it, work and all the normal stuff. Heading to D.C. this weekend in the snowstorm for another cheer comp. For some reason, the cheer comps are always held when there's snowstorms. I know it's just coincidence, but it feels that way. So that's something that we'll be doing. All right. That's a lot of talking. Let's get into our main topics. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Well, Gigi Colic, welcome in. I am glad you're here. Hang out. I was just about to explain what we're doing. I always need like 2 days. Yes, I feel the same way. And that's probably why I shove it all into 1 week. So I can kind of just like, all right, let's just focus on this 1 week. And then I have the rest of the month to get ready for it again. Today we are talking about our business topic. Let me get this off of here. Hold on, you guys. I hate all the stuff down on the bottom of the screen. All right, we're going to run a giveaway. Giveaways are always one of our CEO affirmation cards. You will get week 8. We are in week 8, so you will get a week 8 CEO affirmation card today, along with the vintage postcard. And if you don't want to take a chance at winning a card, you say, hey, I want some CEO affirmations in my life. We do have just a few decks of the full deck in the bin if you just want all 52 at one time. And then we are going to talk about measuring success beyond the sales numbers. So we all like to look at our revenue and say, oh, if I make X number of dollars, I'm successful. And there's a lot of people on Whatnot that portray that that's a measure of success, because you'll see the shows that say, let me show you how to make this much money, or I made this much money, this is how you could do this. Well, that's cool. It's cool to make a lot of money. I mean, I don't think there's anybody who's going to say, don't give me money. However, success isn't always tied up in your revenue. And so we're going to talk about on the business side, other ways that we measure success. And then on the second hour today for our tax, we're going to talk about tracking income and expenses without the overwhelm. It's not really nuts and bolts of how to do the accounting. We're really talking concepts on tracking that to make your taxes easier. What does that look like throughout the year without the stress? What are the easy ways to do this? So that's hour 2. All right, so let's start. We're going to talk about measuring success beyond the sales numbers. But before I do that, I have a question for you guys, and we're going to keep coming back to this question throughout the whole business section of the show this morning. So here's the question. If your sales disappeared for 30 days, would your business still feel stable? So let's say for the whole month of March, if you had no sales at all, would you go through the month of March and still feel like your business was strong and stable? We have some yes, we have like, ooh, wow, I'm not sure, great question, some no. And that's kind of what I expected. I expected some mixes in there. I'm really happy to see yeses. So this is what we're going to talk about. We always have 5 bullet points that I kind of dive into, and we're going to keep coming back to that question and kind of tie everything back to that question. So we're going to start with that revenue does not always equal your stability. You haven't had your first show yet. Well, what are you waiting for? Jump right in and do it. Hopefully one of these shows, one of the chat shows that you watch will encourage you just to turn that camera on and get going. What would stable look like? Well, let's talk about what stable looks like. Good question, Kimmy. Hang out. We're gonna dive into all of those.
Indigo embrace. Good luck.
Good luck, Indigo. Go ahead, Indigo. Throw in there what you're selling. What is your category?
Give me 1 second.
I'm guessing nails, but maybe not. I could be wrong. I'm just going by the name. Press on nails. All right. So revenue does not always equal stability. Revenue equals cash flow, but it doesn't mean that we have a good, stable, strong business. And so if sales were to pause for some reason, you still want your business to survive, right? Think about things that happen. What happened with TikTok? There was a big scare. I know it was only down for like 12 hours if it even went down, but we never know what's going to happen. What if there's some tragedy at Whatnot headquarters and the servers go down and you can't have a show for a few days? How are you going to, is your business going to continue to go? Even if it's just a few days or if it's a whole month. And that's really what we're diving into. Revenue is immediate. We're happy with it. We get that money and we're like, yay. Yes, my love. I see you leaning into the microphone over there.
Good morning, Burlap Barn.
Good morning, Burlap Barn. Okay. But stability is structural. Stability is that's our foundation of our business. That's what everything else piles on top of. And the revenue is just one of those things that pile on top of our stability. So that's what we're really looking at is how do we build stability in our business so that when things happen, when we get sick, when there's natural disasters, if something should happen to the platform we're on, if a vendor all of a sudden doesn't exist and we can't buy stuff there, how do we stay stable? How do we stay strong in our business? Because it's not just looking at how much money we're making. I want to give you an example on here. So let's just suppose a seller makes about $6,000 a week. And that's pretty high. That's probably getting up there into premier status numbers. But let's pretend a seller makes $6,000 a week. But then they take that $6,000, and it doesn't have to be 6. You can relate this to your numbers and see if this feels familiar to you at all. Hold on. I'm going to stop because that giveaway is about to pull. Mama's Couch, you got that giveaway. Thanks for being here today.
Congratulations.
Okay. So you make $6,000 a week, but you immediately reinvest everything back into sourcing. So whatever you pull out of Whatnot, you're taking that and you have to have that money to go buy more stuff, right? Nothing set aside for taxes. No, there's no tracking of what's going on. There's no bookkeeping. They don't know what their expenses are. They're just taking that money, buying stuff and selling. Money, buy, sell over and over again with not much else going on. No concern in any other areas. And relies entirely on that money to pay their personal bills. So they pull the money out, they're buying inventory, they're paying their rent. Good morning, Trish. Or they're, paying their personal, their electric bill and stuff. That doesn't sound too stable, right? That's just like, yeah, I'm making $6,000 a week, yay me, but I'm not doing anything to build stability in my business with that money, right? It's just money at that point. How is that besides just cash flow, besides just helping you go from paycheck to paycheck, is it really making your business stronger and better? What if Whatnot goes down? I just talked about that. We talked about the TikTok scare. What if you get sick? If this is your business model, if you're doing a show to get money, to buy inventory, and to pay your personal bills, and we've seen it, I know all of us have seen those shows. My car broke down, my washer broke down, help me fix my washing machine, whatever it is. You've seen those shows where, oh, I need $600, my electric bill is due. This is what we're talking about. This is a real life example. We see it day in and day out on Whatnot. Those are businesses on the brink of falling apart. They're not stable. If Whatnot were to go down, if that seller were to get sick, if shipping is delayed and now you have to do a lot of refunds, or if the algorithm shifts in a way, that you, all of a sudden people aren't coming into your shows as much. All of those things, if you're relying on just that revenue to keep you going paycheck to paycheck, your business is gone. You have to focus on building that structure, the foundation of your business. You're testing dollar starts and it's changed your stability. But you know what? It's a good thing. I applaud you for trying something new and being strategic and thinking through it.
And we hope for the best.
We do. Now, this is a perfect example. If you're trying a different business model, you're trying to venture out and do dollar starts or free shipping, something that has more of a risk to it, that's when you want even more stability in your business. This is why any reputable seller who is pushing dollar starts or reduced or free shipping is also going to tell you, don't do it jumping right out of the gate. Don't do it when you're a brand new seller. Only do it after you know what your numbers are and you feel that you've built something up a little bit. I would never recommend a brand new seller first show doing reduced shipping and dollar starts. I know shipping has been limited to people. We're talking before it was limited. You need to know where your base is, and you need to get stable first before doing that. So hopefully you've kind of built some stuff up. It's not for the best yet. Unfortunately, technology has prohibited my listings from being seen. Oh no, that's not good. All right, so in cases like that, and this is what I'm talking about, maybe Whatnot didn't go down, but there's a Whatnot issue, right? So we have to think through all of these and make sure that everything is set in stone. And we're going to talk about ways to kind of look at that and setting things in stone before we do that. Stability disappears instantly. It could go away really quick if we don't have all of our ducks in a row, right? Revenue is what's happened in the past. That's the money you made. But your structure is what's going to carry you through to the future. So if you think about it, hey, revenue's great, but that's just money I made. My structure is what's going to keep me going week after week after week. That's what I build upon. All right. So if we're going to come back to that question, and we're going to come back to, where did I write it? Uh-oh, I lost my notes. Oh, here we go. We'll come back to that the question at the beginning in a second. So let's talk about how growth isn't just always revenue, because we've kind of been harping on the revenue side. An example of structure, having your bookkeeping set up correctly, having an anchor show, having a strategic plan, having boundaries around your sourcing. So it's all the things we talk about consistently in our shows. We're building up that base, having a repeat buyer. So you're doing shows, you're doing what you're supposed to. So you have repeat buyers, you have a pipeline, you have things scheduled for the future.
Can you explain what an anchor show is?
Your anchor show is Indigo and Braised Nails. You got that giveaway. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
An anchor show, if you guys don't know, if you're new here, is your show that you have the same day, same time, every single week. That's the one people can count on. They know where to find you, what day and what time to find you, week after week after week. Then you could do a bunch of other shows if you want, but you should always have at least one anchor show.
Good morning, Ms. Liz.
All right. So when we talk about revenue is that activity, right? Revenue. And Gigi, I'm not trying to dismiss your comment. We're going to talk more. As we go through, we're going to dig more into structure. So you'll kind of get a better idea as I keep talking. What if the site goes down, then your structure goes down with it? Not necessarily. If the site goes down for a few days, but you have everything else in place, and that kind of goes back to not putting all your eggs in one basket. But if the site goes down and maybe you miss 3 or 4 days of shows, You should have reserves. You have people an audience that you've built up, your tribe that you've built. You have everything in place. You have money in the bank where you're not worried about it. 4 days, okay, that sucks. Yeah, that kind of put a wrench in, a kink in my plans, but that didn't stop me. That my business doesn't crumble. So having structure means that when these things happen, if a site goes down, you get sick for a week, a natural disaster comes through, you want to go on vacation, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. You want to take a week off and go to Hawaii. Your business can survive that. It doesn't need you grinding it out day in and day out to survive. So we gave the example of somebody doing a show. They make a lot of money in the show, and instantly they take that money to pay their bills, to pay like their rent or their electricity. They need that money just to survive. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, that's not stability. I will say when Whatnot is glitchy, it makes it really hard to stay focused, happy, and running. It does. I agree totally, what Liz likes. Totally agree that it makes it hard. However, if you're having a glitchy day, if Whatnot's having a glitchy day and you're like, you know what? That's it. It's not working. You can end that show. If you can end your show and walk away and be okay. Like if you were on for 10 minutes and you're like, you know, Whatnot's too glitchy. Sorry, folks, we can't do this. Nothing is working with Whatnot today. And you can end that show and walk away without worrying like, oh, shoot, I needed that show to pay my electric bill. My lights are going to be turned off tomorrow. If you don't think those thoughts, then you have some stability built up. But when you're thinking, I have to do a show to pay my electric bill or to get more money to source more, that's not quite stability yet. Okay, I understand. I thought you were asking if Whatnot shut down permanently. Oh, okay. I will say okay. Right now I have to reset 10 seconds with every run. Oh, yeah, I don't like that. Especially if you're doing just one listing and you hit next, that's crazy. Or even if you're not, if you have to go in and do it on every single one, that's so annoying. Yep, just walk. And that's just it. If you could just walk away and you feel secure in the fact that, okay, if I walk away, all of my people who normally come to see me are going to be like, Whatnot's glitchy. That sucks. Okay, I'll see Liz tomorrow. You have built that. You've built stability in your repeat buyers or return viewers or your tribe, right? And as we go through, I have about three or four more examples of what stability looks like.
Gigi, you would have to look into either, if you're an Apple, on the store, or on Android, it will be the Google Store. So the App Store or the Google Store for any updates.
And Mama's Couch, you are so right. There are so many things. Business is just like running your life, pretty much. There are a lot of things in business that are just like running your life. Do you just get your paycheck? If you are a W-2 employee, you work for somebody else, you get your paycheck and just spend every single dime and hope for the best? Just fingers crossed there'll be something when I retire. No, we have to plan for stability, for structure. We work our whole lives from the time, that we graduate college, some of us a lot earlier than that, to build, to grow, to build a house, to have a permanent place. We're building some foundation. We have a place to live. We're putting some money in the bank for some savings. We're putting some money away to enjoy some of the life. We're putting some money away so we can retire someday and still have income. This is the same thing with your business. You got to take that same mindset, just like Mama has pointed out, and apply that to your business. You need to put money away for a rainy day for your business. You need to put money away for the taxes. You need to build the pillars that are going to hold that business up throughout all the ups and downs of it. Okay. Where was I? Okay. As live sellers, so let's just kind of think about this. We tend to think, because what we're talking about, growth isn't always revenue, and that kind of ties into this whole stability thing. As live sellers, we tend to think, I've got to increase my sales. And just think, ask yourself if you've ever said these or had these thoughts run through your head. I've got to increase my sales. I need to work more. I need to put more time into this. And as you're doing that, your stress is probably creeping up a little bit because you're like, oh man, I got to do this. I've got to work harder. I've got to increase my sales. I've got to buy more inventory so I can sell more, right? We do this. We get into this rat race and we call that growth. We tend to look at this as working really hard, as being busy, as growth. And it's not really the same thing. The gist and the common theme throughout all of my Friday shows is taking you from thinking as a reseller to thinking like a CEO. CEOs don't say, I need to work more hours so that my business can grow. There may be times when it's necessary, but that's not how they think. You know how they think? Did my margin improve? Is what I'm doing resulting in bigger margins? I need a vacation. That's what they think. They're like, no, they think, where's the golf course?
I'm right there with you, Southern Charm.
They think, did my systems improve? Better systems. We're going to talk systems later on. Better systems, more efficiency, less time spent while you're growing. You don't have to just be busy to grow. It doesn't have to be a, a rat race to grow. If a CEO mindset is going to say, did my stress decrease? Am I putting systems in place? Am I doing things to help my efficiency is huge? Yes. Am I doing things to reduce my stress? The more efficient you are, the less stress you have about things. And did my repeat buyers increase? Am I doing things to build my base? These are all structural. Is my margins improving? The more margins I have, the more revenue that's coming in that I can use then to create savings and safety nets for myself. So think about it like this. I always like to try to give you an example that's outside of Whatnot when I can. Comes down to the old saying, smarter, not harder. Exactly. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You work smarter, not harder. All of those, they've been around forever, because what I'm talking about, almost everything I'm going to tell you is not some new revelation, type of thought here. These are tried and true things from business that have been around a long time, and I'm just applying them to Whatnot. So let's do an example outside of Whatnot so we can kind of see how growth isn't always revenue. But think about, maybe you're one of those people that go to the gym all the time. You eat good. You're doing what you're supposed to, right? You're gaining muscle. You're like building up your heart. You're getting that stamina going. You're establishing healthy habits. You are rocking and rolling. You are doing good. And then you get on the scale and you only lost 2 pounds. Okay? Those pounds are like revenue. Right? So you lost some weight, and maybe it's not a big number, but the strength you're gaining, the stamina you're improving, that's your systems. That's what sustains you. That's the structure you're building for the future growth. Okay? I ran a company on Nantucket for 30 years. Cool. And as the time went on, I realized it was all about efficiency and working smarter and not harder. That's in every single company. A lot of your large corporations, all your Fortune 500 companies, they have efficiency experts. They have people who their only job is to find ways to do things better within the company. We have them at the company I work for. And mine's not even a Fortune 500 company that we work for. It's a global company, but most large companies have efficiency experts. This is just another thing. As us, as sole proprietors, it's just a different hat we put on, and we have to look at how are we going to be more efficient. So think about this question. Would you rather increase revenue by 30% with a ton more chaos? That's 30%. 30% more revenue is a lot. That's a big increase. So would you rather increase revenue at 30% by working harder, putting in more hours, doing more, or increase profit by 10% and have less stress? I don't know about you guys, but I would take a lower percent on profit and a lot less stress. Okay. The other side of this that you have to think about, and see a lot of people, less stress. That's right. What you have to think about here too, the more you put in, the more you're grinding. And I'm not saying don't work hard. Look, reselling, live selling, this is a hard business to be in. So don't get me wrong when I'm saying don't grind and don't work hard, but don't do it excessively. Work smarter, not harder, like we've been saying in the chat. Because if you are taking up every single hour of the day, and you're packing, you're sourcing, you're selling, and that's all you're doing, packing, sourcing, selling over and over and over again. When do you have time to be creative? When do you have time to sit back and say, how can I grow my business? Because if you're always on, you can't be always on. You need time to decompress. You need time to sit with a cup of coffee and say, what kind of show can I do that's entertaining? How can I change this? How can I go to the next level? How can I source new products? Where can I make new relationships? You have to have time for thought and creativity. And when you're just grinding it out constantly, you don't have that. And without thought and creativity, you can't grow your business. And when I say creativity, go ahead, my love.
I was gonna say the Aaron Sphere is here and Scuba Stevia too. Good morning,
Hello.
guys.
When you're grinding it out all the time, you don't have time to think like that. And when I say creativity, I don't mean like handmade creativity, because handmade people are very creative just in the nature of what they do. I am talking about business creativity, having time to think, having time to plan. That is just as much of an important part in your business as actually selling is. Because if you're just grinding, you're just doing. If you're just doing that, if you're grinding, are you enjoying it? Why are you even doing it? Why don't you just go work for somebody else where you could at least clock out at 5 o'clock, right? The whole joy of working for yourself is being able to have some time to enjoy working for yourself, okay? I set office hours of 7 to 1 p.m. 7 to 9 is business building hours. Now, I love that. I love you. And what you're kind of describing is time blocking. I'm going to have a series coming up May timeframe on time blocking.
Liz Likes was talking about that too a few shows back, and I think she hit the nail on the head. Beautiful, beautiful.
I love it. Grab a notebook, a cup of coffee, and use the marbles between your ears. And that just sums up what I do all the time. You can see I'm a note person, and I will sit with coffee, on the back porch or just in a quiet spot and just write thoughts. Sometimes they come to fruition, sometimes they don't. I love coming in early in the morning and oh, thank you, Eric. Thank you. Oh yeah, I'm so old school with my notes. All right, let's talk about the next one. Oh, you know what? I want to tie that back. So at the very beginning, if you missed it, I asked a question. If you didn't have any sales for 30 days, would your business still feel stable? And every topic we're going to tie it back to why that was an important question. So here we're talking about growth isn't only revenue. We were looking at building those structures and those systems, and the efficiency is growth in itself. So true growth includes those reserves, the margins, and the systems. So if I have systems in place, I have margins, I've made some money, so I've put stuff away, that is going to help create my stability to withstand an extended period of no sales.
That's a great way to put it.
I like that,
Mama's
mamas. That needs to be like on a big poster somewhere. Okay. Engagement predicts longevity. So how we're interacting with our people, that engagement we get from our tribe predicts our longevity. So engagement is your leading data. Okay. And I'm going to explain what leading data and lagging data looks like. Engagement's your leading data. This helps you know what's going to happen in the future. That's helps with your predictions. It's setting the stage of what's to come. It's kind of like your trailer on a movie, right? Revenue is lagging data. Revenue is what's happened in the past. So a lot of us as sellers, we look at our money, we look at our revenue and say, oh, now I know exactly what's going to happen. That's part of the picture, but that's just kind of what happened in the past. Your engagement is one of the larger factors that you're looking at what's going to happen in the future. So your engagement kind of helps know what's forming. Think about when you first started, or maybe some of you are just brand new on Whatnot, and you have maybe 2 or 3 people that come to your shows consistently. Maybe one of them's like your best friend or your cousin or something, right? And now, for those of you that have been around a while, remember that first 1 or 2 shows. Now, fast forward 6 months. What does your engagement look like? Have you built a group of people that you're like, wow, if I disappeared for a week, those people are going to like message me and say, are you okay? Where are you? What's going on? It's amazing how it happens, but it's not just like this really cool feature of Whatnot. It's actually part of building a stable structure in business, is having that. And Whatnot kind of harnessed this with the social selling thing. They've kind of harnessed this. You hear in every major business networking. Why do we network? Because it builds our future pipeline. It helps to create that stability. It's one of the factors of stability and structure in your business is networking. Here on refers to it as your community. You're building that community. So as a CPA, when working in a CPA firm, it is just expected. As you start, you get out of college, you come in as, a first-year associate. It is expected right away. It's all called business development. Hopefully that will result in sales. However, It is part of your expectation as a CPA that you're networking, you're creating that. It's no different here. When you come on Whatnot, you should have that expectation of yourself that you're networking, you're increasing your engagement, which will help in your longevity of your business. What does this look like? So if you're trying to say, okay, where am I? All right, I'm here. I hear what you're saying, but how do I know if I'm creating this engagement or not? Are people staying in your room? You can go and look at your metrics and see how many people stayed consistently. Is that number slowly growing or even got to a good point and just kind of at least maintaining? Or is it dropping off? I mean, it doesn't always have to be uphill, but when you're first starting, you want it to go uphill and then eventually you're going to get to a plateau. But are you consistently keeping a group every single show? Okay. So that's one way to see, are you doing this? I was off for about 5 hours and had 10 messages and I'm there you go, mama. So you're networking great. You're interacting with your community. You never had to advertise. Everything was word of mouth. All my clients would tell their friends about me. I love that. And that's kind of what happens here too, right? How many times does your name get said in somebody else's show? How many times, and this is so cool, and this is a sign of engagement here. How many times is your name said at somebody else's table? In a good way. And when I say it's said in somebody else's table, that's when you get that little tag and you're like, wow, such and such just shouted me out in such and such a show, right? That's somebody else speaking about you at their table. That is huge. Do not underestimate the value that's there. That is tremendous value. Somebody else, when you're not even in the room, thinks of you, not just thinks of you, because I could think of something, but they thought of you and then they typed it. Then they had a physical action that involved your name in a good way in somebody else's show. That's engagement. And that's massive on Whatnot. All right. So that's one way you can measure, or not necessarily measure, but you can see if you're getting that engagement, if this is helping your business. Are people in there chatting? Look at our chat. This is wonderful. I love seeing you guys add your comments, talking to each other, talking to me. This like makes my day when I see the chat going. All the time at seller shows as a buyer. Yep, you do that all the time. I like to say hi to other people. You recognize it does create a nice vibe, doesn't it? It makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. When somebody says your name, I don't care. We all have a little bit of vanity to some degree within us. Even if we like to think we're not vain people, there's a little bit in there. And as humans, we like to hear our name. It works every single time. Why do you think when you go in to buy a new car, the salesman walks out to you and says, hi, my name's Bob, and you are? And I say, oh, hi, I'm Tracy. And then they make sure to address you. Tracy, take a look at what we have over here. Why? Because the more I hear you say my name, the more I start to like you. It is a proven psychological fact. Good morning, A Standing Grace Shop. Are people bookmarking your shows? I know bookmarking does not equal the number of people that you're going to get in your show. I'm very aware of that. It's usually about a third. I can expect if I have 100 bookmarks that about 30 people usually stop in consistently in my shows. But the fact that they're taking the time to say, I really liked this person and I'm going to go bookmark their shows, that's engagement. You have at least created some connection to where they have, again, taken their time to go click on your name and then click multiple times to bookmark the shows. You like hearing your name? Hey, I love to hear my name. Are they coming back to the next show? So these are all just ways that maybe you can't necessarily always quantify it. Maybe you can't chart it and graph it the way I would love to, but you can look at it and say, you know what, these things are happening. I'm creating engagement, right? Funny side story. So my name's Tracy. Most people know that, but I also answer to Zoe since we go by Zoe's Treasures. And when I go into a room and somebody will say, hi, Zoe. And if my daughter's around, that's her name. She's always like, well, hello. And she always answers. She can be in the other room and hear me on Whatnot. And she'll yell from the other room, tell them I said hi. So it's just kind of funny. Anytime I'm with her, she does that. Okay. You can feel very slow financially while building strong relational equity. Okay. What is engagement? It's relational equity. We're building, instead of equity as money, we're building relational equity. And that is part of your structure. I'm excited that I have 13 bookmarks. Yay! That is so great.
Well, let me give her a breather. And this wouldn't be
That's his code for shut up for a minute.
this wouldn't be a community show without a little bit of community. So I would like to say that Indigo Embrace, she's gonna have her first show coming up. So if you guys want to stop by, there's Indigo Embrace. All right. And her next show, or her first show, is gonna be tomorrow at 9:30. So
There you go.
if you feel inclined to go check it out, go check it out. Give it a little bit of support since it's going to be her first show. So break a leg.
And wishing you all the best on your journey on Whatnot. Don't give up. I'm sure your first show is going to be amazing. So all the best of luck. Okay, so you can feel financially slow while building relational equity. Okay, so keep that in mind. And this is hard. This is very hard. I have broken into the jewelry category. I can't say I've broken into. I am trying extremely hard to break into the jewelry category, right? And you know what? It's difficult. And I had a show last week. I sold one item. Now, I come from vintage where I'm doing dollar starts and I'm usually having sold out shows. So to go from that to a show where I only sold one thing, I understand I have the same feelings as I did when I was a brand new seller. I'm like, what am I doing? Am I being successful? And I always have to come back to the foundational principles that I preach every Friday to say, okay, think about it like this. This is what's happening. You're building relational equity. You're building up. People are coming in. You're talking to them. You're building relational equity. So maybe I didn't make money, but I'm building structure in that part of my business. And while it sounds really cool to say it, and it sounds very logical, and it is very true in its logic, emotionally it's hard. And this is one of the reasons I will preach till I'm blue in the face. When it comes to business, we have to take our emotions out of the business. It's easier said than done. And I speak from experience in saying it's easier said than done. You have to build that audience again. You do. When you switch categories, it's like you're starting fresh. In business, no matter what the type of business, your reputation is key, and how you run things with integrity, courtesy, all of that is so important. 100%, Carolyn. I could not agree with you more. Okay, so when we're looking at the difference between transactional and relational, so building that relational equity helps build your base, your structure, your stability. I got to do. My husband's reminding me I keep forgetting to do my giveaways. All right, let's do another one. So what does transactional look like? So I really want to make sure that it's very clear the difference between transactional and relational when we're doing a show. Transactional. Maybe you made $3,000 in random sales. You're selling stuff $3,000, but you had 0 repeat buyers. 0. So they're all new, wonderful. That means people are coming in, they're just buying stuff. There was really no theme, and there was no consistency, and chat wasn't really going on at all, okay? And that's why I come back and see you and buy it. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Carolyn. That's so sweet. I appreciate that. So transactional, you're just there to make money. You're selling stuff. You're not rating. You're not engaging. You're just selling products, right? We all know there's sellers on here. And a lot of them, and I hate to say this because I don't want to pick on them, but a lot of times we'll see transactional type shows in like the bulk, kind of like the liquidation type category. You see more transactional stuff happening there. Whereas relational, when we're looking at a relational show, and that's not to say that a relational show can't build money, but we're talking about building structure, not just money. Maybe you sell 18 items, but the chat is active. You got new followers. You have repeat buyers in your show. There's more bookmarks after your show. That's building a pipeline. That's building those relationships and building something that's going to sustain you through those hard times. Because think about that person who sold $3,000 just on random transactions. If they didn't show up because they didn't create any of the relationships, would their business still survive if they didn't have sales for 30 days? However, the person over here who has new followers, new buyers, more bookmarks, people coming back, repeat buyers, they're building relational equity. They're building something to help them when those times get tough. Think about it like this, real life scenario. We all have those little coffee shops in our neighborhoods, or if you go into a city, there's all those little corner coffee shops, right? Those mom and pop coffee shops where you walk in and they're like, "Hi, Tracy, do you want your cappuccino today?" And you're like, yeah, thank you so much. Okay. They know your name. They know your order. It feels like a comfortable place to go to. Those type of shops every day will outlast a Starbucks. Now I'm like, yeah, Starbucks will be around, but Starbucks is transactional. Those little mom and pop shops, those are relational. They may not take over the country. Welcome to Cheers. Yes, exactly. Who is it? Farm LLC talks about that kind of that Cheers. She even sings a song in her beautiful voice. The whole Cheers theme song. So your relational equity is going to outlast all those spikes and dips in business. Norm, yeah. So think about this. What did I miss, my love? He's trying to get my attention. That would be success. Absolutely. I love discounts. Hello, Baxter Coffee here has coffee cake that I swear is made by. And you didn't let me come down there so I can taste this. I have to do this.
Southern Trump says that Starbucks writes your name on the cup.
Oh, they write your name on the cup. They do, yes. But that's only because I told them my name. They don't know my name. Do you guys ever go in and give funny names? We do that sometimes. I always use my daughter's name. I always say Zoe every time I go through a drive-thru. It gets under her nerves because she's 15 and it bothers her. So that's why I continue to do it. Okay, think about this question. When someone enters your show, do they feel like it's a transaction or do they feel like they're part of a community? Most of us are going to say, I think we create a good community, right? That's our goal. But so when we're thinking about it from a purely whatnot perspective, we don't want somebody coming into our show just to think they're there. Oh, I'm just here to buy something. No, they're here because they kind of want to hang out a little bit too, right? You want them to feel like they're going to their best friend's house. So let's tie this back to our first question. Our first question was, if you were to lose sales for 30 days, can your business survive? If you've built this pipeline, if you have relational equity, that's going to help your 30-day dry spell, right? Okay, we got about 40 seconds for that giveaway. A lot of times when I go into a repeat buyer, it's because the shows are fun and there's a sense of community. 100%. I have certain people that I go to just because I may never even buy from them. The Aaron Sphere, he was in here earlier. I don't know if he's still here. I don't buy sewing stuff. And I don't go to every single one of his shows. But if I'm scrolling and I see him on, I may stop in for 5 or 10 minutes because he's funny as all get out. There he is. He's funny as all get out. I don't sew. I mean, I used to, but I don't anymore. So I don't buy zippers and fabric and patterns and that type of stuff. But I enjoy his atmosphere.
I like what Liz likes.
Yeah. So we all have our people that we will gravitate to because they have relational equity. Mama's Couch, congratulations on that giveaway.
Congratulations.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, what Liz
Thank
likes.
you. Okay. Consistency matters more than spikes. This is our third point under business. Consistency. And now you hear consistency thrown around constantly on whatnot. And don't underestimate the value in consistency. It is extremely, consistency ties into so many different things. And we're going to talk about those in just a second. But let's talk about those spikes. When I say spike, a spike is you had an awesome show and you made more money than you ever made. That's a spike, right? Or you just got rated by some big time seller and 300 people showed up in your room. Or it could be 80 people. It was a raid bigger than you've ever seen. That's a spike. Or something great happened. Maybe one day your chat just was going off the rails left and right. And you're like, man, I've never felt so engaging in the chat, right? Those are spikes. They feel good. They're wonderful. Hold on. I have had sellers beg me to go into their shows and not even buy if I don't, because I make that. I love that. I love that. So the spikes are great, but consistency matters more than the spikes. You can't build a business off of the spikes. The spikes are these outliers. So those are the things on the charts that are way on one side or way on the other, right? We want to be in the middle, okay? So consistency is what builds that infrastructure of your business. Tech is that I said, can immediately realize I said it with the... Did you really? Fair maiden, that's funny.
I try.
So think about this. That one large show that you made more money than you've ever made before feels amazing. So if you had one $7,000 show, wow, I've never had a $7,000 show, you guys. I would feel like over the moon. That would be awesome. But that's a spike. Compare one $7,000 show that never happens again to four $1,800 shows. Consistent, dependable show after show after show that you can count on a lot smaller amount, but it reoccurs over and over. That's consistency. And maybe you guys are like, Tracy, you're out of touch. I don't make that much money. So let's look at it in terms of something that would be real life and real to me. A $700 show is amazing. That is so cool. But if I can continually make $400, I'd rather take four $400 shows week after week than I would one $700 show. Okay. While it feels amazing and I would love if it happened, it's much more important to have the consistency in not guaranteed, but revenue that you can kind of count on week after week. And I know nothing's guaranteed, but consistent revenue. So that consistency helps stabilize your inventory purchasing. If I know that every time I go on, I can usually make this much money between this and this, I can start to kind of count on that so I can plan my inventory. I can do my tax planning. I know what kind of sourcing decisions to make in addition to being able to afford the inventory. And I know how to set expectations within my audience, because if I know if I'm making a certain amount of money, I'm selling a certain number of items, I'm going to be on for a certain amount of time. And based on doing that over and over, I can start to express that, hey, you guys, we're going to be on for about an hour and a half. I got about 50 things here, because I know if I sell about 50 things, it's going to bring that consistent amount of money I need week after week, right? So consistency in being able to plan that revenue accordingly. I will take that every single day over a spike. Spikes are awesome and they feel great, but it doesn't build stability in your business. Because if I have a $700 show today, but then I sell nothing for 3 weeks, and then maybe I have a $500 show, and then I sell nothing for another month, and then I have another $700 show. How do I plan for that? How do I source around that? How do I set expectations around that? I can't. So being able to plan and having that consistency builds your stability so that you know, hey, if I have to go 30 days without sales, okay, I'm cool. I usually make about, say, $500 a show. I do it once a week. That's about $2,000 of less income. I'm okay with that. I've got this much in the bank. But if you're just doing off of spikes and pop-ups and you don't have consistency and you're facing, hey, I'm gone for 30 days. I'm not going to have a show for 30 days. I just lost thousands of dollars. Well, how do you know that? If everything's based on these spikes, you don't know how much you've made or how much you're going to lose. So that consistency builds into more than just, hey, I've got some money coming in each week, right? So let's talk about consistency in some other ways. That giveaway is about to go in 2, 1. Who's getting that giveaway? Cynthia Zalek. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. All right. Show times, consistency. So we hear this word. Do you ever sometimes ask your buyers at the end of the show what types of things they'd like you to find for them? I've never asked that specific question. I may ask sometimes, what do you collect? Or if I'm looking to do a special show, I've been frequently asking, hey, if I were to do a show on just one type of product, what would you like to see? And that kind of gives me some feedback. I like that though. I like to ask, but now again, when I'm thinking about my sourcing, while I have my buyers in mind, obviously I have my ultimate consumer in mind. Just because one person says, oh, I like unicorns, doesn't mean I'm going to go buy a bunch of unicorn stuff. Now, if I see something and they're a person that comes to my room time and time again, I may pick it up because there's a good chance that they'll buy it, but I don't let it influence as a whole my sourcing. It may be a factor in something I pick up for a specific person, but not as a whole. All right, consistency. Let's talk a little more about what it means.
I always think about I love discounts when I see Hello Kitty.
He will never let Tony live that down. Okay, show times. This is where you hear the word consistency show up the most on Whatnot, right? You have to have your anchor show. Be consistent. Show up. I can't even begin to touch on the amount of truth in that. I didn't want to harp on it too much here. I wanted to bring consistency in other lights, but you're going to hear it not just from me, but from just about every other person doing a chat show, or even just any seller talking to you. You got to be consistent in your show times. I cannot tell you guys how many times I will bookmark a show. I tried to take legible so I could reach out to a buyer and find something that was requested. Oh, that was really sweet. Right now, I just buy what I like because I don't have a customer base yet. So Indigo, we talk a lot, and I've done some stuff on sourcing where you need to set boundaries around your sourcing. You need to figure out what is your niche, what are you selling, and how do you specialize it. And even in nails, I am sure there's various types of nails, different things that you could either go various directions. So it's always my advice is to figure out which direction you are, have some boundaries around you buy. Because if you buy everything, you're trying to appeal to everyone, you don't build your niche. You don't build what people come back to you for. So consistency and show times. How many times have you bookmarked something and then they move the show? It frustrates me. Things happen in life, but this is a business. If you can't treat it as a business, if I can't depend on you, first off, what did we just talk about? Engagement and having people come back to you, right? If me as a seller, want to increase my engagement, I want to increase repeat buyers and people coming back to me. If I want that, I need to be able to put myself in a place that encourages that. How do I do that? By being where I said I'm going to be at the time I said I'm going to be there. Okay? If I schedule a show for 7 p.m., I sure as well better show up at 7 p.m. and do my show. I understand there are things in life. There is a huge hole in the nail market in large size. Someone will do, oh, there you go. There you go, Indigo. That may be something to look at. If I say I'm going to be there at 7 o'clock, I better be there at 7 o'clock. I understand things happen in life. I get that. But this is a job, right? This is your job. This is your business. If you're working for somebody else, if you work for somebody else, can you just show up? Certain jobs you can show up, but you have some boundaries, right? You can't just come and go as you please. You can't just show up. I'm supposed to start at 9, but I think I'll start at 9:30. I don't feel like starting today. I'm going to push my work till tomorrow. You can't do that when you work for somebody else, but yet you do it to yourself. How come you have more respect for somebody else to obey their timelines, but you don't have enough respect for your own business to be on time for yourself, right? It is one of my biggest frustrations. I'll give somebody twice. I will bookmark your show 2 times, and if you move it twice on me, I'm not coming back a 3rd time. I'm not going to do it, and I don't say that to be the B word. I say it is because you can't show up for me. Why should I show up for you?
Good morning, Miss Leslie.
And I know I sound like I'm coming down hard, but this isn't. We feel because we are in our homes, because we are in sweatpants and athletic wear, because it's easy to do, we feel that we don't have that same commitment. It's too easy. We're just going to fit this into our lives when it fits. Okay, fit it into your lives when it fits, but don't expect to build a structure in your business. Don't expect your business to grow. You want your business to grow. You want to build a structure. Treat it like a business and show up for it. Thrifty Pink Flamingo, congratulations. You got that giveaway. All right.
Congratulations.
I agree with you on the anchor show thing, but sometimes like when I see that they suddenly do a pop-up. Pop-ups are fine. I am not against pop-ups, but you should have an anchor show. You should still have that one that people know without a doubt. Extending Grace. We've been trying out some different times to see where we get more engaged audience. It's almost like trying a new category. Any suggestions? The only thing I can say is when you're trying different times, you probably have to try it more than once. Like if you normally do Saturday at 4 and you're like, I'm seeing lack of engagement, lower participation. It's not working for me. So maybe I'm going to try Tuesday at 3. You've got to do it a few times. You can't just get enough data from one show. So I would suggest trying it for a couple of weeks first, but never give up your anchor show. So while you're trying other times, you got to still keep your anchor show until you figure out when you're moving it to. So what I'm trying to say was that if you're always Saturday at 4, but you're thinking this isn't working, I need to pick another time, don't give up that Saturday at 4 show because that's what people know right now. Test it out, take a couple of months or a couple of weeks, figure out another time. Then keeping that anchor show every single week still, start to talk about it. Hey, you guys, you may have noticed I've been on every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. I really love this spot. As of March 1st, we're not going to be doing Saturdays anymore. We're only going to be doing Tuesdays. Buyers want to know what to expect. The people coming to your room that come time and time again, and they come every Saturday at 4, all of a sudden you're not there. 1 week they may be like, oh man, I hope they're okay. 2 weeks and they don't see you and they're not searching for you because they're used to seeing you at Saturday at 4, they're going to start to be like, maybe they're just not on anymore. 3 weeks, you've lost them. So you've got, not only do you have to keep that show until you find your next spot, then you have to set the stage and help your buyers transition to the next spot. It's your job as a seller to help buyers along on their buying journey, which means helping them know when and where to find you. Okay, sorry, I kind of went on. So, and then you can give up that show, once you've set that expectation. So we talk show times, show structure, consistency and show structure. That's a theme we've talked a lot about before. Language use. We've talked previously about consistency and what you're saying. What do you say when somebody raids? What do you say when someone wins a giveaway? What do you say when you open and close the show? What do you say when somebody asks, can I promote? Having that consistency helps your buyers feel at ease, less stress on your buyers, less anxiety there, and they know what to expect. Creates a better experience. I know a few new sellers, and sometimes they aren't really sure what they're doing. I always tell them to go, oh, thank you so much, Carolyn. That makes me feel special. 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. needs more pop art figurine sellers. See? Look, there is a time and a place for everybody, and you just got to find where yours is. And then rules. The more that you have consistency in your rules, I hate to call them rules. I need to figure out a better name for them. But your theories, no, I'll come up with a better name. But whatever, how you structure and run your shows. And now we're talking about consistency in your revenue, right? Strategy. No, it's not strategy. I'll come up with a name. Principles. Yeah, principles. Basically, there's a word that's on the tip of my tongue. I cannot think about it, but you know what I'm talking about. So if you're just chasing those spikes, without building structure, it's hurting your consistency. Okay. Parameter. I like parameters. Yes, I like parameters. That's a good one. In addition, if you're just going by your spikes, because we were talking about how consistency matters more than spikes. If you're just going by your spikes, you're going to overspend after your big weeks. How many times in real life have maybe you got an unexpected amount of money came your way? You got a bonus at work. You got some extra cash on your birthday. And what's your immediate thought? Most people, what's your immediate thought? Oh, what can I buy? Okay. Translate that to business. If you have a really good show that you were unexpecting, you have a spike show and you get more money than you think, the next thing that usually follows is overspending. I feel like you should raid a show into a show. It helps you grow. Don't they just end without? Grammy, I totally feel like you should always raid at the end of your show. I think that's unspoken whatnot etiquette. There is nowhere that says you have to. It is totally okay to end your show. Yes, Indigo, I'll repeat that. Let me finish answering this question real quick, or comment. But yes, I agree. When you end your show, you should raid. You should end by raiding. It's kind of this unspoken rule on whatnot, and it shows support for other sellers in the community. And it doesn't have to be a big person. It could be anybody you want. Grammy got that giveaway. Thanks for being here.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and even if it's just you or you and one other person, still raid. Don't ever be embarrassed by the number of people you bring. It doesn't have to be a big raid to make it a meaningful raid.
Thank you for your purchase from the bin. And if you are purchasing any PDFs, do me a favor, send us a DM with your email address so we can ship them out to you as soon as possible.
So what I was saying, if you are just having those spikes, so think about this in real life. You get some unexpected money come in real life, nothing with business. You were talking normal life. You get some unexpected money. The majority of what people will do when you get unexpected money is, oh, wow, what can I do with this? I've been wanting that new pair of jeans. I've been needing a new couch. I'm going to go out for a day of antiquing, whatever. You're like, how can I spend it? That's a typical reaction to getting unexpected money, whether that be, birthday money, a bonus at work, whatever it is. The majority of people, that's how you think. That same thinking translates, jackpot, that same thinking translates to business, where we get a spike, we have this killer show all of a sudden, and you get far more money than you expected, and instantly we start thinking, oh, I could go buy some more inventory, I could go do this. Typical spikes lead to overspending if we are not aware and conscious of them. If we have not already already have a plan and a way we're going to spend that money. When I get a bonus at work, my first thought isn't, it used to be, oh, what can I go buy? Now it's like, oh, cool. I can put a little bit in savings here. I can add some more to my retirement. And then I can take this percentage out to go have fun and do something with. You got to look at business the same way. And you go on whatnot. Yes. So what happens though is when we have spike shows, spike shows creates chaos. While they're wonderful, I see spikes as insurance to cover the slow days. That's awesome. So then, but you have a plan. So what Liz likes, what she's saying is, okay, if you have a spike show, I'm going to put some of that money away over here because I know that I may have some slow times. Goes back to the question I asked at the very beginning. You're making the perfect point here. This ties it all together. The question we opened was, if you had to face 30 days of no sales, would your business survive? Do you have enough structure and stability in your business? So what Liz likes is saying, if I have a spike show, because they are wonderful and they happen, and I'm not saying they're bad and you don't want them, they're there and they're great. But how are we reacting to them? What are we doing with that? Liz is taking some of that money and putting it away. So now she's creating some stability, some structure. So if she had to go 30 days with no shows, guess what? She knows about what she usually makes, but I have some money sitting over here in the bank. You're using what you have to create stability and structure. All right, think about it in this manner. I need help knowing what to do with it. Well, keep listening. We go through all kinds of stuff. So think about it like this. When you work for somebody else, you can pretty much count on that paycheck every Friday or every other week, right? That's stability. You know, oh man, I'm a little low on money, but I'm going to get a paycheck on Tuesday. I'm going to put some in my savings. I'm going to do whatever I need, right? It's predictable income in a rhythm. As CEOs of our own businesses, we need to create that predictable rhythm, okay? We don't have somebody else writing us a check every 2 weeks. We need to structure and create the predictable rhythm of income, okay? If there's a spike somewhere in there, wonderful. But I can't create and rely on spikes. I can, however, create and rely on a predictable income stream if I build my business. So what type of extra account should I open for that? It's not necessarily opening an extra account, but it's knowing how much you have and where it's allocated to. So it's knowing, and you can have 1 or 2 accounts. I only have one, but I just don't drain it, and I make sure I have a certain amount sitting in there. So it's writing it down on a piece of paper. Hey, okay, some of this money goes to this. It's like putting a phantom account in your ledger. Okay. I lost my train of thought. Okay.
But if you decide that you want to open a different account to separate your business from your personal finances, that is a very smart idea.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. That's under the tax section. We're going to talk a little bit about separating accounts. But thank you for reminding me. So consistent, moderate sales. You don't have to be killing it every week. Consistent, moderate sales build stability. I know we tend to look at other people and they're like, they're making so much money. I did it the other day. I fall into the same traps. That's why I think I get so passionate when I'm talking to you guys, is because I experience the same things. There is a newer seller on Whatnot, somebody my son knows, and they're killing it. And they've had like 20 shows maybe. They haven't been on for a long time. And their shows are making more money than my shows. And I'm like, well, how are they doing this? And I had that feeling. But you know what? I'm building my business, and consistent, moderate sales, you don't have to be making $1 million every show, build stability. You're building a base. You're building that foundation. All right. I gotta pick up the pace here. Let's do another giveaway. Let's talk about how your metrics guide refinement. So this is our next point. Metrics are not a judgment of what you did. Okay. We tend to think, has anybody gone shopping all weekend and then you got to open your bank account on Monday morning and you're like, oh, I don't want to look at what I did. It's not judgment. We got to look back and say, okay, our numbers aren't judgment on us. We didn't do something bad. They're just a metric. They're just a picture of what happened, right? They're feedback. That's all metrics are. So when we're looking at this, we need to, some of the stuff as sellers that we should be looking at. And I'm not saying you have to track every single one of these, but these are some key metrics. or KPIs, KPI in business terms, key performance indicators, okay? Average show revenue. What's your average show revenue? When we talk about average show revenue, I kind of mentioned it earlier. If I know I can consistently make $500 a show, I know that because I'm using my metrics. I'm using what I've made in the past to predict I can make about $500 a show. So knowing your average show revenue. Viewer retention. We talked about engagement. In a way for me to measure engagement, I need to know about what is my viewer retention. If I'm consistently having 50 people stay in my show and I start to see that go down, that's when I need to step back and say, where am I off on the engagement? Where am I off on my relational equity, right? What do I need to fix? As a buyer, I've been known to go in shows where there's hardly anybody in and buy stuff to boost a new seller. It's good for them, but not your purse. Yeah, we all tend to spend. I had to stop myself of like, I like you, I'm going to be here, I'm going to chat, but I can't continue to buy all the time. Category performance. It does feel good. What's performing better for you? I'm doing jewelry and vintage. I know right off the bat my vintage is performing better. Okay, so if I've got this under control, doesn't mean I ignore it, but I need to focus a little more time on jewelry. How do I increase that, right? So knowing the performance of your various items, and even if you're not in different categories, maybe you do primitive and MCM. Well, of those two designs in vintage design aesthetics, which one's doing better for you? Do you need to put more focus in one or the other? So understanding your performance in the past, average sale price. This one is key. Everybody should know their average sale price of an item. You should be able to look at every single show and know, on average, my items sell for $15 a piece, because that leads into your sourcing, leads into when you're buying supplies. You don't make every decision on it, but it's part of knowing your average sales price based on past shows. I get a cute Hello Kitty charm for you. Oh, I'm so glad that she likes it. Your sell-through rate. You need to know what your sell-through rate is. Your sell-through rate means if I put 100 items up on the during a show, if I'm showing 100 items and I sell 60 of those, I have a 60% sell-through rate. So that tells me if I do that show after show and I kind of figure this out, that, you know what, on average, every time I put up 100 items, I'm selling about 60 of them. Guess what that tells me for future shows? I'm going to sell about 60% of these items, right? So now my focus is, okay, what's happening with the other 40%? Why aren't they selling? Are my prices too high? Are the items not good enough? Are they damaged? What is it? Because my goal is to sell 100%, right? I want 100% sell-through rate. So what do I need to do? It looks like I've drilled in, I've narrowed down. I'm doing really good on 60% of my inventory. What do I need to do to fix the other 40%? Okay. And your fee percentages. Last week we talked a ton about fees, so I'm not going to dive into it a whole lot right now, but we need to talk about it. What do I do? What do you do? What do you do when you notice that 40% isn't selling? You start looking at it. So what 40%, is it in the same, okay, say it's my vintage decor, primitive shows. Why aren't these things selling? Are they out of stock? Are they just not trendy anymore? Like butter pats. Butter pats were hot. People were paying high dollars for them. And now it's kind of like, So I look at that 40% and I start saying, is there a consistent pattern that I can see, a type of item within that people just aren't bidding on? Okay, so maybe let's pull that out and replace a piece of that 40% with something that I know is selling and see if that increases my sell-through rate. So still buying butter pats. So you start looking at that mix of items and you start trying to identify, well, what's the common theme here? Do they all have cracks? And maybe there's not a common theme with all 40 pieces, but there's something. You're going to start to see, you know what? People don't like spools anymore. I'm going to pull those out. So I can't really tell you what to do besides analyzing what's there. Southern Charm got the giveaway. Thank you for being here.
Congratulations.
Hello, you guys. If you are just joining, welcome. I see all kinds of names coming in. My name's Tracy. This is Zoe's Treasures. We are doing a chat show. We are wrapping up. We're at close to the end of our business hour, and then we're going to go in and talk a tax topic for about an hour. So stay tuned, stay around. And y'all, this is a good breaking point. I'm going to stop really quick just to talk a little bit. If you are not familiar, I do have in the bin, I have tons of different PDFs. that are all either business or tax topics. And then these shows, this is our live seller collection. And I have 52 weeks of shows every Friday at 7 a.m. I'm going to be here for the rest of the year. And we have books in the bin that go along with these shows. You do not have to purchase them, but if you are the type who likes to take some notes and not just have to go back and rewatch, but you kind of gather your thoughts, these are excellent for you. So this is quarter one. We are nearing the end of quarter one. So you can only buy the book with the quarter two book. Quarter two is out now too. But these are in the bin. We also have PDF versions. So you can buy these as a bundle for a discounted rate today, or you could buy just number two, or you can buy PDFs, but they are in the bin. And real quick to show you what these books contain. Every single week, we are on week 8 right now. So let me show you week 8. We have our business topics. I see your question. I'll get right to it. So we have our business topics, and these are what I'm going through. There's a place to take notes. And then we have our tax topics, which we're about to talk about. And then every week we have some application and reflection questions. And these help you think through everything we've talked about and how that applies to your business. And there's a place for notes, along with like a quarter end wrap up at the very back. And so that is the live seller collection books or PDFs that are in the bin if you're interested. All right, put those over there. Your question, how do reviews affect sellers? I just received an order from a seller I like, but multiple items were broken and I'm conflicted. I think you should always be honest in your reviews if you're going to leave a review, but you can be nice. Reviews themselves, they will affect the little rating that's up at the top. So like up here, I guess I have a 5.0, but that can easily go down to a 4.9 or a 4.8 based on the scoring you give in the review. However, your review is your communication as a buyer to other buyers of the seller's performance. So it should always be as truthful as you can. However, yes, I love discounts. Absolutely. Contact the seller first for a resolution. When you're leaving a review, use honest, thorough words. Don't just say it was broken. So if you just say it was broken, that gives a deceiving or a misrepresentation, because then it sounds like they just sent you items that were broken on purpose versus maybe them getting broke in transit, or maybe them not being described the right way or something like that. So be as accurate in your description and be kind. There's no reason to be mean in a review for any reason whatsoever. But before you leave that review, reach out, like I Love Discount says, reach out to that seller. A lot of sellers, if something breaks, it's not on purpose. A lot of sellers are honest. 99% of the people on here are hardworking individuals that want to do the right thing, and we need to give them a chance to do that. And sometimes it's easy, especially in vintage decor, estate sales, storage units, to sell something and you think you've disclosed everything and you missed a crack or a chip or something, and you're not doing it to be deceitful. We're human, and it's easy to miss things, even if you put a ton of time trying to make sure that you're describing it 100% accurately. So that's what I would say. Very bad experience, which you will not discuss. Yeah, I mean, I think reviews should just be honest. So I don't like a bad review as a seller, but it's my goal as a seller to do everything I can to try to prevent a bad review, right? Okay, metrics or refinements. So we talked about some of the stuff you should be measuring. So when you start paying attention to more than just the total dollars coming in, you start to notice details on things. You start to notice things that you may have otherwise missed. Maybe you start to realize that Friday night shows outperform Sunday shows when you're not just looking at dollars, but we're looking at maybe engagement. We're looking at relational equity. Thank you so much for your purchase from the bin. Maybe you start noticing that your curated shows are outperforming your random shows. So these are things to look at that are aside from just how much money did I make, okay? Because we're talking about growth, and consistency isn't just dollars, right? Maybe you notice that a certain thing sells way faster than another item. And noticing these then allows you to make adjustments to improve it on a bigger scale. Maybe bundles outperform singles. So there's different things that you'll start to noticing when you really start paying attention to all the metrics I talked about and digging into your shows. And why is this important? Because when you start looking at data, at metrics, at hard, cold truths, the feeling goes away. You're making decisions based on actionable things, not how you felt. And you're going to hear it throughout the whole rest of the year. Every Friday, I'm going to talk about taking feeling out of things. So when you start looking at that, it allows you to refine your scheduling, your sourcing, how you're selling. Overall gives you a chance to improve. But you can't do that if you're not looking at any of those things that you should be tracking, right? Let me run another giveaway. Okay, so how many people have heard this keyword? I think this is the 2025 word of the year, pivot. By the end of last year, thank you for your purchase from the band. By the end of last year, I was so sick and tired of hearing the word pivot. I am no longer going to call it pivot. You know what this is? When you look at your metrics, when you look at what's going on and you make a change, you know what that is? That's a strategic adjustment. You're not pivoting. You are not just switching your angle and turning the other way. You're strategically adjusting. That tells me when you strategically adjust, you had a plan. The plan is not working as you designed. So you are going to think through it strategically and adjust to a different way. Pivot to me means, oh, that don't look good. Let's do this. Strategic adjustment means that you're thinking it through. You're thinking about the past, the present, and the future in your decision making. Another one you don't like, someone says, push a reset button. You're not resetting. You're changing your strategic direction. It's a strategic adjustment. That's what it is. That tells me you're thinking it through far more than just, pivot. And I'm not getting against anybody who said pivot. I've said it myself in the past year. It was just that keyword. And I'm like, there's so much more to it. It's not just deciding, I don't like regular M&Ms today. I'm going to eat peanut M&Ms from now on. It's a very CPA of me, isn't it? It's not as easy as, I just don't like these M&Ms. I'll eat these ones. No, you're a business. You're running a business. You need to have a little more thought and meat and substance into it. All right. What is one metric that you have never tracked that might change your view on something? What is something, let's go back and talk about average show revenue, viewer retention, category performance, average sales price, sell-through rate, fee percentages. What is something you have never tracked that you're like, you know what, maybe I should look at this and it may give me information that I've never thought of? Title of those shows with thumbnails. Are you asking, are they important? Clarify your question a little bit more so that, because I can talk a whole lot about that, but yes, is it something I should track? Tracking the title of shows with thumbnails. I don't think that's going to give you a lot of information that you can be actionable about. Unless you're looking at, if you're starting things for $1 or $3 and you put that amount in there, the shows that you put $3 starts, does that seem to have more people in your room because you put $3 starts in there? So something like that with the title, you may be able to track that a little bit more. Yes. Okay. So we talked about strategic adjustment. And why does this tie back to why are we looking at metrics and how is that important? Going back to our very first question, if you didn't have sales for 30 days, would you be okay? Because if you're tracking your expenses and your margins, you know exactly how long you can operate without new revenue. So if you don't know any of these numbers, if you don't know where you've been, that 30 days of no revenue looks a lot more scary than hey, I know what's going on. I got this under control, right? Where do you find the metrics? Is it a phone or a computer? I never look on my phone for it. I very rarely use my phone besides watching whatnot. Everything I do is on a computer. These metrics are found in different places, but on your Seller Hub, some metrics are on your shipping tab. Some are on your finance tab. There's an analytics tab that has various graphs and reports and numbers on there. That tab has the most metrics. And some of these metrics you need to come up with yourself. So your sell-through rate, Whatnot doesn't tell you your sell-through rate, but that's something you have to know. How many items did I show and how many items sold? So that's something you have to track for yourself. Category performance, Whatnot's not going to tell you category performance. That's something you need to pay attention to yourself. I've heard that when you do this, that you must offer it to actually buy something like a sticker. So Midwest Keepsakes, you do not have to offer them to buy a sticker. I do have things in my bin if you're interested in buying. Most people offer stickers in order to rewatch it, so people can rewatch the show. We multicast to YouTube, so you do never have to buy something in my show to be able to watch it. You can always go to YouTube. Question above this one. Hold on. Question for you about the notify. Notify when I go live in the seller shop. Yes, it has to be it can't be some ridiculous amount. You can't do the $99999 whatever, almost $1 million. It has to be a reasonable dollar amount, and you have to have something for sale. So you could do the bookmark. So if you go to look at mine, I'll post mine really quick. So
Good morning. Catch me here.
good morning. Thank you so much. Who got that? Grammy? Oh, lucky day. I think that was number 2 for you today. Thank you for being here. So on mine, you'll see it's $3. It's a reasonable amount. And it says, save it to get notified. But if you're just itching to buy something, you're going to get a sticker. So yes, you have to actually sell a physical item. You can't just have bookmark this. That is a Whatnot rule.
I'll put it on the screen.
What are you putting on the screen? We're going to run another giveaway. I got hung up on the little oh no, the little details matter.
If you missed the first part of the show, you want to go back and rewatch other shows, here's our YouTube.
Yes, Midwest Keepsakes, it is completely incorrect. You are not supposed to have the ridiculous amount and not sell something. Now, it doesn't have to be as low as $3. It could be upwards. I don't know what the exact limit is, but you can make it $1,000 because $1,000 is still reasonable to some people, right? It just can't be that like almost $1 million item. You're not supposed to. But it's the same thing. You're not supposed to play music that's not royalty free, and just about every single seller on Whatnot plays music that's not royalty free. So there's always going to be some level of rule breaking, and it's you as a business owner to decide where you're comfortable in that and running your shows. You can play music, Catch Me Here, but it has to be royalty free music.
You're not supposed to be broadcasting anything that has copyright, and so it's against terms of service. And not only that, if the artist comes back and decides that he wants to go after you, then you'll be liable for it. So I'll play a little bit so you can listen. So what you're listening right there is royalty-free music.
Royalty-free means that it is not owned. It is free to the public to use in any way they want to use.
No, not Alexa. No.
No Alexa, no radio.
Copyright.
Unless you ask Alexa to play royalty-free music. Okay, what about a seller who promotes other platforms? Driving sales to other platforms is against terms of service. I don't know word for word. I can't quote it direct, but in terms of service, I'm paraphrasing, it says driving sales to other platforms is prohibited. Now, if I say you can go to YouTube and watch the show, that's totally okay. If I say I have a website, check me out, or hey, I'm on Instagram too, give me a follow, that's totally okay. You can promote your social media, but you can't say, hey, I'm selling this vase over on this other platform, go over there and buy it. That's what you can't do, because what you're doing, that's in essence fee avoidance. You're sending them somewhere else to avoid paying Whatnot fees, and Whatnot doesn't want to send the revenue other places. But using your social media, driving them to say, hey, go bookmark me and follow me on Instagram, I post a lot over there, that's totally okay.
Yes, you can. And thank you, Curated Hangers.
Yes, yeah, you can, yep. I've always heard Whatnot has the best fee. It does, yes. Whatnot has absolutely the best fees and best shipping compared to other platforms. So I don't get it when people complain about it, because it's for one, it's a cost of doing business, but two, it's way cheaper than other platforms. Okay, final point in business, and we'll move on to tax. I got a lot less on tax. Sustainable success. Your structure is multi-dimensional. It's not just one thing. When you hear sellers saying, all you have to do is this and you can be successful, I'm going to tell you right now, they are flat out wrong. There is not one secret sauce to success. It is multi-dimensional. So true success in any business, not just Whatnot, in any business, relies on profit, systems that you create, repeatable buyers, clean bookkeeping, taxes and tax clarity, being able to have sustained energy within that business, having sustained emotional stability within the business, and inventory discipline. There's probably more that I didn't list. That's 8 different things, 8 variables. I see, I'll get that. I'll give you my opinion in a second. That's 8 variables off the top of my head that go into making a successful business. So please don't ever be derailed or delusioned or taken by when somebody is saying, some seller gets on here and says, all you need to do is to buy this or be on 24 hours a day and you'll make $1 million. Like there's no one single secret. It drives me insane when I see it. Dollar start bids. I love dollar start bids. There is a whole truth, a whole psychology behind dollar starts. Now, do I recommend every single person go to dollar starts? Absolutely not. If you are brand new, I would never recommend as a brand new person starting out to do dollar starts unless you have some financial reserve, because it takes you time to create your foundation. Create your foundation first. Get some relational equity, build up that networking, get some of these other structures in place, have some money, have some security on the side, right? But dollar starts, the psychology behind it is everybody likes a deal. Who's going to get that giveaway? Good morning. Oh, wow, a lot of stuff. Grammy, oh my gosh, go buy a lottery ticket. And thank you for your purchase from the Ben. I saw that. Thank you very much. Okay, so dollar starts are wonderful. The psychology behind it is people like a deal. You get one person to bid. There's phantom ownership, and then more people bid. It brings people to your room. Dollar starts are wonderful. They're very valuable. It's a tool to use among various other tools and ways that you can approach your business. You need to use them strategically and in the right manner. You don't need to do a show that's full dollar starts. You can do dollar starts as a special event. You can do dollar starts when somebody raids you. So use them in strategic ways within your show that makes sense for your business. Or don't use them at all. You don't have to. I've read that TS's team is going after people that stream her Taylor Swift, her music without her getting royalty. I wouldn't doubt it. See, the whole royalty thing, it's not just a Whatnot thing. Whatnot posted in their terms of service because it's bigger. There's like federal laws over it. And it's not so much as Whatnot going to crack down on you, but it's the artists themselves. You are literally stealing money out of the artist's pocket every time you play something that's not royalty free. And some people think, oh, these people are rich enough, they're not going to catch me, little old person on Whatnot. It's just wrong. It's just flat out wrong. But you do you. You decide as a business owner what works for your business. It is no different than when we're following the rules of the road, the traffic rules, right? When we're in our vehicles, maybe we don't completely stop and we do a little roll and stop at that stop sign and nobody's there and we keep going. Or maybe we press that gas pedal a little too much. It's the same concept on Whatnot, right?
Before she answers the question, if you're purchasing PDFs, do me a favor, send us a DM with your email address so we can ship them out to you as soon as possible.
Thank you. People can change a dollar amount of the items they are going to run, and then it automatically, after it runs, it flips back to what it was. It should. Yes, it should flip back. Be careful, because Whatnot doesn't always do that. What Liz Likes was in here earlier, and she said that she was changing the time, and normally the time will stick, but she found recently she has to keep doing it over and over. So try it, but be careful. Like try it once or twice on something you can take a lower amount on and see if it's working. Again, you're relying on programming that a human has done. It should work a certain way, doesn't mean that it's always going to.
Mel and Stella cards, we use royalty free from Spotify. There's a couple of artists that provide royalty free music, and there's a bunch of albums with a lot of different songs that you can utilize from there.
And the bird theory makes a really good point. Keep in mind that your buyers make decisions based on your choices. And it could be music. It could be a buyer who's really stuck on a rule following person, and they're like, you know what, you don't follow the rules, I'm not going to buy from you. It could be you misuse shipping supplies. If I buy from you and you pack my box with free shipping USPS materials, I will never buy from you again, because that's a big thing to me. So buyers do make choices based on the decisions you do as a seller. Where in the terms of service, though, trying to read the details. Off the top of my head, I do not know. I would have to go search for it myself. I have read it before. I do know that it's there. I will see if I can find it. And
thank you. I love discounts.
Melinda cards. And if I find it, I will send you like the clipping of it. I just wrote it down to remind myself. Terms of service, music. Okay.
And also in terms of dollar starts, if you're curious, we also ran a couple of shows with reverse auction.
Yeah, so if you want to know how reverse auction works, I have them on YouTube, and I have another one coming up soon. Let me keep going because we're almost done here. Let's see. We were talking about sustainable success is multidimensional. So Let's do this. Y'all know that what's that like the TikTok trend that's going around where people are like, put a finger down if this happens. All right. So let's do this. Hold your hand up. Put a finger down if you are growing some revenue, but you don't really like going live. You get them butterflies and you're like, oh, I don't really like this live thing. Put another finger down. Put a finger down if your show has ever felt chaotic. Put a finger down if you've ever avoided your bookkeeping. Put a finger down if you panic at tax time. All right. I have a feeling you guys got some fingers down, right? All right. If you don't have all 5 fingers still staying up, that's not sustainable. Okay? You need to look at some of those things. And I'm just going to say it like it is. If you don't have 5 fingers up, you need to look at why you had to put a finger down on some of those. CLB, you got that giveaway. New here, what do you recommend for tracking other than Excel? I will not recommend anything. As a CPA, I'm going to recommend what works for you. And I'm about to talk about that thing. So if you just hang out for just a little bit more, we're going to talk about that exact point. But let's try it. Let's try this. We're going to do it the opposite. Put a finger up if you made some moderate revenue. You made some money. It doesn't have to be a lot. Put a finger up. We're starting with them down this time. You have clean bookkeeping. You're tracking what you're supposed to be tracking. You have repeat buyers, right? You have some repeat buyers. You have a predictable cash flow. I know what's coming in the next month. I can pretty much predict it. If all things remain equal that I did last month, I can repeat it this month. And you're in control of your shows. Okay? So if you have moderate income, you're making some money, you have clean bookkeeping, you have repeat buyers, you have a predictable cash flow, and you're in control of your shows. You should have 5 fingers up and giving yourself a high five right now. That's sustainable. That's structure. That's what you're building, okay? Don't be stressed out. You are building a business, okay? And it's not difficult. Moderate income. Do your bookkeeping. People will come back to you. You start putting in all those business practices in place, people will come back to you. Well, if you have those things in place, you start to have predictable cash flow and you control your shows. You got this. Okay. So we're at the end of the business hour. We're going to move into tax. And we're going to go quick. We'll probably be on for about another 45 minutes, but just kind of wrap that up. Revenue is loud. Revenue is that exciting thing. Revenue is that's like, yeah, revenue, I'm making money. But our role as a CEO is to cut through all that noise and really focus on your margins, your retention, your rhythm, your efficiency, your systems, and your energy. Those are the base of your foundation. The revenue is awesome. You need the revenue, but you got to cut through that noise and focus on the foundational concepts to build a business. So instead of asking yourself, how much money did I make? How much did I sell? Change your thinking. It's okay. It's like, cool, I made X number of dollars. CEO stands for Chief Executive Officer. You are the Chief Executive Officer of your business, okay? So let's start thinking like a CEO. After every show, ask yourself, what did this show teach me? Or at the end of every week, what did this week teach me? Okay? And how resilient is my business because of the choices I made this week? Do I have margins, retention, rhythm, efficiency, systems, energy? If you have those things, your business is going to be more resilient than if you just have money. Because if you have money, you got cash flow, but then you're in that grind, you're in the rat race. You're not building, you're just making money. Okay? And you know what? You can go work for somebody else and just make money. Thank you for answering.
Mel's and Stella cards. It's on the help.whatnot.com. Here goes. Oh, you found it? Do not infringe on IP that you own or have not licensed. That's IP is intellectual property. If a seller violates this policy, they may be subject to investigation and receive corrective action in accordance with our whatnot actions we take. So there you go. Okay. Let's move on to our tax side of things here. Oh, perfect. Good. You're very welcome. All right. So we're going to move on to tax. On our tax side,
while I say it's a tax side, today isn't super tax heavy. We're more talking about tracking your income and expenses without that overwhelm, without the, oh, I got to do this again type feeling, right? We don't want that. We want to be able to track this, because if we can't track nothing, we don't have any of that data we were talking about earlier. So the real focus here is on systems. And as Southern Charm pointed out earlier, efficiency. Systems and efficiency, okay? So simple systems beat perfect ones. Perfection delays action. So has anybody ever heard the term analysis paralysis? We talk about this in business all the time. Where I work, we have this whole big thing about traps and biases. And one of a trap is analysis paralysis. This means that you cannot make a decision because you're so hung up on everything having to be perfect and in its place before you can make a decision. So nothing gets done, or it never gets started, or you get halfway through and you can't finish because you analyze so much and it has to be so perfect that you get paralyzed without movement. Okay? We don't want that. We don't want anything so complicated, so in-depth that you're not going to do it. So we want to do simplicity. Ranchan Fines got that giveaway. Congratulations. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I get analysis. Look, I'm like super analytical, data driven, and I want to like look at every single option. And it's something that I've had to work on for years and years and years, to be like, okay, wait, you're getting too caught up, make a decision and move on, right? So it prevents you from moving forward. So let's get rid of that. What does that look like on Whatnot? How is that manifesting? If you have your analysis by paralysis on Whatnot, you're looking for the perfect spreadsheet or the perfect app or the perfect software before you're going to do bookkeeping, right? That doesn't exist. The perfect anything doesn't exist, okay? Before all you need is what's going to work for you. It doesn't have to be perfect. And this goes back to the question that was answered, is all you need is a simple system, a simple weekly worksheet may be all that you need. You have to track a few things. These are the key. I know I put some other things for data analytics, but if you're really looking at tracking income and expenses, Couches by Kathy, thank you so much for the raid.
Welcome in, Raiders. Grab your hats and step into Zoe's Treasures, where the relics aren't cursed. They are for sale.
When we get a raid here, first of all, welcome. My name's Tracy. This is Zoe's Treasures. We are doing a business and tax show. We are just getting in the tip of our tax topics right now. We're going to start another giveaway since we are not selling anything today. And what we like to do for our raiders is always take a look at their profile as a way to say thank you and let everybody know who you are. So Catches by Kathy, thank you so much. Let's scroll down. It looks like you sell vintage, gems and jewels, some clothing, some decor, a little bit of everything. And your next show, if you guys like what you see, there is a show tomorrow, a chat show, an inspiration show. Ooh, that intrigues me. And then also a vintage and antique jewelry show. So now you all know who you can follow if that looks great to you. Thank you so much for the raid. All right, so we are talking about tracking income and expenses without the overwhelm, without the confusion, right? We said what that looks like. We want a simple weekly tracking sheet. Gross sales. If you're just looking every week or every show, just look at these numbers right here. Gross sales. What did you make? Okay. This is all you need to track for bookkeeping at its simplest form. It does not have to be complicated. Gross sales. What did you buy this week? What inventory did you buy? What were your fees? What other stuff? What supplies did you buy? And what's your net income? Okay. You can break it down and make it that simple. It does not have to be complicated. You don't need some fancy software. Okay. Now, what I say as a CPA, what I always recommend, if you're a computer person, if you're a techie and you like all the reports and you like pressing all the buttons and all the bells and whistles, there's QuickBooks, there's Reseller Genie, there's other ones out there. You can go and find a program that works for you. But if you're like, you know what, I'm not going to do that because that's a lot of work and I'm just not going to do that. I like pencil and paper. Then use pencil and paper. I use an Excel spreadsheet. I did QuickBooks for a year. I felt I didn't need that much. It took me longer to sort through what I needed to do on there than it takes me on Excel. Simple, to the point. Use a system that you will actually repeatedly use. Okay, that is what I recommend, which is a little bit different than most CPAs are going to try to sell you a specific thing. You got to do what works for you as long as you're doing it. That's the important point, is that you are tracking those things, okay? And tracking it on a regular basis. Weekly tracking prevents backlog stress. I'm not trying to call you out, but put a little something in the chat. If you got your tax season this year and you're trying to do your taxes and you're like, honey,
Yes.
you're having pictures come up on my screen.
Sorry.
Okay. I'm going to fire my camera guy. Yep. And QuickBooks is a wonderful program, and I've used it for years in varying business capacities. I tried it for a year specifically I had one specific reason I was testing it out for. And I just felt, you know what? It was more than what I needed. I'm going to go back to an Excel because that's what works for me. Thank you so much, Ranch Hand Finds. So you've got to just be able to track something on a regular basis. So overwhelm typically shows up in March or January, right? Where are we? We're February. So between, March or June. But where are we right now? We're about to get into the overwhelm season. So let me first by saying, throw up a hand or an emoji if you got to tax season and you're like, oh shoot. I didn't track my stuff. I kind of got some receipts. I got a box. I'm not really sure what my mileage was. Okay, there's a lot of people out there. Don't be ashamed about it. It's okay, because you did it. Now you know better, and you don't do it again. And we figure it out, and next year you're not as stressed. Okay. Perfect. Yes, you track every month, because what happens is overwhelm usually shows up between March and June, because about right now people are doing their taxes and they're figuring out, oh man, I didn't do what I was supposed to last year, and this tax is stressing me out. So what they do is they're like, okay, I'm going to do better this year. I'm going to have a system. It's kind of like a New Year's resolution, right? And you do really good for a little bit, but then around March to June somewhere, you start to be like, I'm really busy. Oh, that can wait. That's not making me money. It's not so important. And you get to about the summertime and you're like, I'm not really sure where I am. I haven't kept my records. I'm going to be back in the same boat I was in January. So let's prevent that. Let's not have the stress from the backlog. Let's just stay up on it and do what we're supposed to. But let's do it in a simple way where it only takes 15 to 20 minutes a week. We all can figure out 15 to 20 minutes in a week. Every single one of us wastes at least 15 or 20 minutes a week. So let's take some wasteful time and put it into some really productive business time. Everything I talk about, every single Friday, I talk about knowing your numbers. You can't run a business if you don't know your numbers. I'm debating. Let me see who won this really quick, and I'll answer that. Ash Thomas, thank you so much for being here, and you got that giveaway.
Congratulations.
I'm debating if claiming $500 in inventory and supplies for 2025 is worth claiming. That would depend on all your other numbers. So it's hard for me to answer that without knowing like the full picture. And I'm not suggesting you put any detailed information in a chat. It's too public of a forum. But if you want to message me privately, I'm always happy to help you think through that decision, like ask questions that would help you kind of come to a conclusion, hopefully. All right. So let's replace that cycle of fear of not being prepared with easy weekly tracking, 15 to 20 minutes. What does that do? You're going to prevent your receipts from piling up. How many people have a big old box of receipts and they're not just like stuck somewhere intentionally? They're just kind of thrown. Like you come home and you grab them out of your purse and you dump them. Been there. It prevents your tax season anxiety that you're having right now. And it keeps your profit visible. Okay. So let's spend 15, 20 minutes a week doing this. Set a day and a time every single week that you're going to commit to doing your bookkeeping. Find a time that works for you. If getting up on a Sunday morning and listening to Green 13 and his chat show and having a cup of coffee, you're sitting there listening to his chat show anyways, do it. Maybe while you're in this show, come sit in here, turn me on, listen to it, and do your bookkeeping, okay? Find a time that you can set aside 20 minutes a week to get caught up and stay on top of it. Trust me, it will reap so many rewards in the long run for you, okay? How do I save this show? We are on YouTube. So
you don't have to save it.
Yes.
You can rewatch it on YouTube. And I'll put it up here in a minute.
Okay, so while he gets that, yes, everything we do, 99% of what we do is streamed to YouTube. So you can always go there. You do not have to buy something to rewatch. All right. Somebody mentioned this. Oh, thank you so much. It makes me happy. So somebody mentioned earlier separate accounts, and I said we were going to get to it. Awesome. I'm Auntie Barbie. That's awesome. Tell me how it works. I want to hear, like next week, tell me if you're like, hey, that was cool. I got it done. And now I feel better. All right. Separate accounts simplify everything. This is a basic concept. We all know it. This isn't even like this grand idea that Tracy had. Have a business account and have a personal account. It's basic common knowledge. All of you have heard it before. It's not new news, right? But even though we've all heard it before, we still tend to commingle our personal and our business money. It is very easy to do. I don't know about you guys, but I have a wallet and I have 2 debit cards for the same bank. One's a business account, one's my personal account, and they look exactly the same. I've used the wrong card on multiple occasions just because I grab it out of my wallet real quick and swipe it, right? To the point where I actually had to write in Sharpie on the business card, like the business name really big, so that I would visibly see when I was pulling out the right or wrong card. It is very easy to do, intentionally or unintentionally. This may be, though, the one most single important thing that you can do immediately for your business, whether you're new or have been in business for a long time, is to separate your accounts. Put one of the cards in your wallet backwards. See, now I love discounts. If I was organized enough to have them all facing a certain way, that would work. However, as type A as I am, my wallet is a hot mess.
The banks offer you to change the face of the card and you can select a different design.
I chose simplicity and used Sharpie on the front of my business debit card. Okay. So when you mix your money, when you mix your personal and your business money, your tracking of your revenue and expenses gets extremely messy.
I know,
okay?
Southern Charm.
It leads to tax confusion and increases your taxes. Why does it increase your taxes? Because you have a tendency to not recognize legitimate business expenses because everything's so commingled with your personal that you miss legitimate business expenses. Therefore, you end up paying tax on money you shouldn't have paid tax on. So there's a lot of reasons. The other big reason, okay, and this is one that's not talked about a lot. This is another big reason. All of you have heard, you know, my soapbox is creating an LLC, and everybody tells you, oh, you got to have an LLC. What they don't tell you is the minute you create your LLC, you've created a separate legal entity. And if you don't treat it as a separate legal entity, you have just wiped out any benefit of ever creating it in the first place. What does that mean? When you have a legal entity, they say, protect your assets. Protect your assets. Create an LLC. You hear this all the time, right? Grammy, oh my gosh, Grammy, I'm just going to send you my whole box of stuff.
Congratulations.
Today is absolutely your lucky day. All right, we're running another one. Congratulations, and I do appreciate you being here. What type are you when you go to the store without, what type are you when I go without my wallet? If I have my phone, I'm good. I just do my Apple Pay.
I can tell you what type she is. I call her a cabezona.
A cabezona, stubborn. Should I track the miles from my home to the store when the store is on my way to work? Can I deduct the stop on my way to work? No, you cannot deduct that because your actual intention there is to go to work. Just because Goodwill happens to be on the way, that doesn't make those miles deductible. Now, if you're at work and you leave for lunch and you go to Goodwill and go back to work, that's deductible because that is a specific trip to Goodwill, okay? Or if Goodwill is past your work and after work you decide to go to Goodwill, the miles from your work to Goodwill and then all the way back home would be deductible. Okay, so we're talking about piercing the corporate veil. So everybody tells you to go get an LLC, right? I'm not going to talk about this a lot, but this is the point that most people will not tell you. All of them people preaching at you to get an LLC. What they won't tell you is the minute you create that LLC, if you do not protect it like a business, you've pierced the veil and you no longer have the protection on your assets. One of the ways that is the easiest way for an experienced attorney to come after you is if you commingle personal and business funds. The minute you create that LLC, every single dime needs to be separate from every single penny needs to be separate from your personal funds. You start mixing any of that money with your LLC, you've broke the veil, you've lost your legal protection. An attorney fresh out of school could tear that apart in 2 seconds. That's what they're not going to tell you. So it is bigger, and I'm not advocating LLCs. There's a time and a place where they are necessary. There's a time and a place where they're not. What I'm telling you is there is far more higher reaching implications of mixing personal and business money. Separate accounts, clean data equals protection, right? What does this look like on Whatnot? All of your payouts should go to a business account. Now, when I say a business account, you can just set up a separate personal account and use it for your business. That is okay to do, okay? It's totally fine. Some banks may give you a little bit of a hard time about it. Certain banks are picky about it. A lot of banks don't care. Just set up another personal account where you're spending your money from and you're having your deposits go into. As a sole proprietor, there is no legal rule or nothing preventing you as a sole proprietor in having a personal bank account to use for your business, okay? You buy all your inventory out of there. You buy all your supplies out of there. Then, if you need to fund the account, if that account's getting low and you need to put personal money in, you transfer it from your personal to your business. And when you want to pull money out for your personal use, you transfer it to your other account. That way, it's clean record keeping on personally what you're putting in or pulling out, okay? That's what it looks like on Whatnot. It allows you to instantly see how much cash do you have available for the business, right? What is your true operating balance? It gives you clear cash flow. And cash flow is just the movement of money. It gives you clear visibility into that. Let me give you an example. We talk about this all the time. I really wanted to drive this point home as much as I can because it's so important. So I want to give you a visual example of what this looks like, okay? I have props, y'all. I have props today. Okay. We have a glass, all right? We have your business money. This is all your business money, okay? This is all your personal money. This is what it should look like. Business on this side, personal on this side. You can clearly see how much you have. You can see what's going on with it, right? You can analyze it. What happens when you do this? That's what happens when you commingle your money. So what I want you guys to do now is to take this glass and tell me how much money you made in business. Tell me exactly from the orange juice, what were business expenses? What's your net profit? How much did you spend on inventory? What are your margins? You can't. This is what happens when you mix money. because I didn't make it a cocktail. That's what you need to do. If you mix your money, put some alcohol in there and drink it because that's the only thing that's going to make you feel better about the whole situation, okay? That's what happens. You can't have this stuff all mixed up. Mixing business and personal accounts, besides having it look like what I just showed you, it's like baking a cake and then going back and having to measure the ingredients. You can't. You can't measure the ingredients after you've baked the cake. Wish list, Rose, you got that giveaway. Yeah, your Whatnot account can be a personal checking account. Absolutely, that's what I do. It absolutely can be a personal checking account. So, all right. That's that point. You're all now you're all going to be like, oh, I'm going to keep my orange juice separate, right? Okay. Organization saves money, not just time. What is all day? We talk about efficiencies, right? It's been mentioned a couple of times. But this right here, your organization saves money, not just time. This is where tax behavior turns into CEO mindset, okay? This is where you start really thinking like a CEO. If you don't track your mileage, if you don't track, mileage gets forgotten. How many of you, we are only February, 20th today? How many of you can tell me exactly where you drove on January 6th? What business miles did you drive on January 6th? Quick, what was it? You can't I Love Discounts? Exactly, the exact business miles on January 6th. Now, if you wrote them down, it would be pretty easy, right? I couldn't even tell you what I drove yesterday, let alone January 6th, okay? So if you're not tracking, supplies get missed. It is so easy to buy something. Yeah, and me too, Southern Charm. This is probably like a reminder to myself also. Supplies gets missed if you're not tracking. There are good apps for that, absolutely. And again, there's not one that I recommend. That is the reason why I chose QuickBooks last year, because QuickBooks actually has an app that links to your phone. I love the mileage feature of it. It did it in the background, and then you go and classify it later on. So I loved that part about QuickBooks, and I'm going to miss that, but it wasn't enough to keep me using it. Stride app is awesome. Mile IQ. Yeah, if you guys are using anything you don't see recommended, put it in here so people have an idea of what to go and look for. I've gone back to a basic pen and paper system for my mileage. Again, do what's going to work for you. Find a system and just be consistent in using that system. Software subscriptions go unaccounted for. Very easy. If you're not doing your weekly accounting, if you're not organized, it's super easy to forget to, Vendu, that's an expense for me. Spotify, that's an expense for me. Those things are just happening every month in the background, and you forget about them really easily. You would lose a mileage logbook in 3 days. And fees go unrecorded, right? So untracked expenses, what do they equal? Overpaid taxes. Who wants to overpay their taxes? Not me. Okay? Untracked expenses equal overpaid taxes. So track your expenses. Okay? Think about your car. Let's take this off of money, because money gets people riled up. There's a lot of feeling involved in money. So let's just relate this to something else. Think about maintaining your car. Most of us, I would say, 99% of people have vehicles. You give it oil changes. You rotate the tires. You check the brakes, right? You check the fluid levels, or you take it to somebody. But this is regular maintenance you're doing on your vehicle because you want that vehicle to last. You don't want to get broken down somewhere. You don't want the panic and the anxiety that your vehicle is not going to run properly. Right? It's the same with your business. If you don't take care of your car, your engine can blow, a tire can blow, your brakes can give out, you can break down in the middle of nowhere. Tracking your expenses can feel a lot like doing maintenance on a car. It takes a lot of time, but look at all the things it prevents you from, right? It's necessary. So it avoids all those missed deductions. It avoids overpaying taxes. So you don't want to break down. You don't want your business to break down. You don't want to be in February saying, oh, shoot, I don't have any of my records together for taxes, because it's all done. You want to come into the new year and you'll be like, yep, I'm ready. Let's go. Bring it on. Come on, 1040, right? Okay. Final tax point of the day. Overwhelm. When you are overwhelmed with your bookkeeping and your accounting, if you're overwhelmed with tracking income and expenses, it usually means that you don't have a system. That's all it means. Your systems are missing. So do not look at it as a personal failure. Look at it as like, okay, I just need to put a system in place. You know, we have systems in everything we do, even if you don't realize it. Take for just one quick second, think in your head, what do you do when you brush your teeth? More likely than not, unless you're on vacation or more likely than not, on a regular morning when you go to brush your teeth in the morning, you do the exact same thing. You put the toothpaste on the same way, you wet your toothbrush the same, you have a system. Systems, we innately need and want and crave systems. I am doing the cash accounting system. Do I need to track inventory? You do not if you're doing cash, full cash. I would question to make sure that you really want to do cash for inventory. It could come back to bite you, so be careful. There are legitimate reasons. There are times when cash is good. But if you are a continuing business, unless your business maintains operations the exact same year after year, cash could be very misleading and cause overages in taxes from one year to the next. So you really want to make sure. I wouldn't recommend cash as a CPA unless a business has been in existence for a while and they're on a plateau and they're steady. What about cash at estate sales, yard sales? Keep a logbook. Marcia, just keep a logbook. Write down the date of when you went, a short description of what you bought, like vintage items or something. It could be 2 or 3 words. For garage and estate sales, I like to include a location because it just gives a little legitimacy and helps back it up, and the amount you paid. And that's all you do, and be consistent. So think about it from the eyes of an IRS agent if you're ever to be audited. The only reason we maintain receipts, actual physical copies, is if we're audited, right? Because once we record it in our accounting records, we're good. But you have to have receipts if you're audited to prove that it happened. You have to have documentation to prove that whatever exists, that existed. So think about it from an IRS agent. If he comes in and he sees a bunch of stuff for garage sales, estate sales, and he's like, okay, tell me about this. Do you have receipts? And you're like, no, but I have an ad on my phone because there's this app and it tells me when the estate sales are and I can show you that there is actually an estate sale there. That doesn't explain that you spent the money. But if you pull out a logbook that's logged entry after entry after entry that shows all the places you went, an IRS agent is going to be like, this person's pretty on top of it. They've made some really good documentation. Okay. You hope they do away with the IRS. I do not, actually. And it's not even job security. I think the IRS serves a purpose. But we're not going to go there because that's politics and I don't do politics. So overwhelm usually means that you don't have systems. So when you think, if this thought ever goes through your mind, I don't even know where to start. You're like, this is a lot. I don't even know where to start. The answer is start small. Okay. Start easy. You don't have to do it all at once. One piece at a time. Start small. Start weekly. Just look at this week. If you were today in the middle of February and you're like, I haven't done anything this year, that's okay. Look at just this week. Okay. Yeah, we're 8 weeks into the year. Don't worry about the other 7. Do week 8. Start for this week. You can get caught up on those others. Start this week. Do next week. Set up some habits. And then we'll worry about those first 7. Start small. Start weekly. And start imperfect. It doesn't have to be a full-blown system. Don't get stuck with, analysis by paralysis. Start imperfect. Write down what you can. Document what you can. Something is better than nothing. I do not expect everybody to come on Whatnot and be CPA level accountants doing their debits and credits. I saw a great quote. It's not hard, it's just new. Exactly. And that's what it is. Nothing is ever that difficult, unless you're talking like brain surgery or something. I would never try that. But start small. It's accounting. It's tracking what you're doing. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be perfect. You have to record it. We can always clean it up later if need be. And I'll tell you what, I can guarantee you start small and you start where you're at on a weekly basis. When you start being able to go back and look and like, oh, wow, I can actually use this information to pull data to make decisions. And you start getting comfortable in your habit, you'll start getting better at it and you'll start increasing it and refining it and making it more into what you need come year end. Or you're going to keep doing it all this year and you're going to get to next tax season and you're going to be like, wow, this was really easy. This was good. This year, I think I want to know this information too. Okay. You may never get super excited about accounting, but you'll get to the point where it's like, I'm glad I did this. All right. This is a perfect time for me to talk about the accounting course. I do want to mention this to you guys. So starting next week, week after next, March 2nd, I am going to be doing a free 12-week accounting course. Let me move my notes out of the way. A free 12-week accounting course for resellers here on Whatnot. You do not have to buy the book. I have created the book to help you guys if you want it. There's also a PDF version. Let me pin this really quick just so you guys can see it. Are you going to pin it for me, my love? Thank you. All right. And now let me get another giveaway going while that one's up. Okay, another giveaway is going. So 12-week accounting course. I am going to take you guys from the basic accounting equation all the way to creating a profit and loss statement and there's a lot of words there. All right, we're probably going to unpin that. I didn't realize I made it so long. But we're going to take you from doing a basic accounting equation all the way to creating a profit and loss in a balance sheet and then knowing, okay, I've got these numbers. What do I do with them? How do I make this useful to me to make decisions in my business? Okay. So this is the book. If you're interested in buying, there's also a PDF version of it. You can see it has 12 tabs, one for every week. And every week, what you're going to get, first week, we're talking about the accounting equation. You're going to get some basic information. This is the core. This is the meat of what we talk about. So it's kind of outlined, high-level notes for you. I'm going to go into it in more depth, but this gives you the meat of it. We have every single chapter has examples, real Whatnot examples. And then we have exercises. We're actually going to walk through exercises every week here, where some of them are going to be numbers I give you. Some are going to be your numbers you're actually plugging in to see how this works in real life. Another exercise. And then we have worksheets. Every single one contains a worksheet. that you can pull out, you can copy, you can use over and over in your business. So 12 weeks, 12 worksheets is the same format week after week.
If you're buying PDFs or spreadsheets from the bin, send us a DM with your email address so we can send them out to you as soon as possible.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. And if you can't make it, if you can't make the class, can't make that time, it's 6 o'clock. Did I put it at 6 or 6:30?
6:30.
6:30. On Mondays, it will be on YouTube. So you can always go to YouTube and watch it at any time you have available. So it's 12 weeks. We're going to go through all 12 weeks. And then after that, I think we're going to do a different session and we'll come back. So I'm going to run this accounting course at least 2 times this year. I have it planned, 2 12-week sessions at different times throughout the year. So that's that. And we have reached the end of our day here. Thank you so much for your purchases from the bin. So we've got to the end. If there's any questions, I will try to answer those. But if not, I'm going to wrap it up. Every week we do we got a couple of minutes for the giveaway too. Every week I do a CEO affirmation. And those are that's the giveaways. I lost my card. Here it is. So the giveaways are our CEO affirmation cards. And that's what I close every show with. There are 52 of them because there's 52 weeks in a year. Surprise, surprise. I like, numbers. I like things nice and even. If you're thinking to yourself, those are pretty cool, I don't want to wait and just try to win one, you can also buy the deck. I have just a couple of decks left in the bin, and you can buy the whole deck. Does your inventory PDF explain different methods of tracking? Yes, it does. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Do I explain different methods of tracking in the PDF? I'm going to have to go back and open it. I don't remember. So you're talking between cash and accrual. I'm pretty sure it does. I know I go in depth on how to track inventory, different ways to look at it. I'm pretty sure it does. It's been a while since I created that one. I want to say I'm like 90% confident it does explain the difference between cash and accrual. So, all right, you guys, we got a minute and a half. I'm not going to pull that giveaway early, so we're just going to talk for another minute and a half. Our CEO affirmation this week. So let me tell you what that week 8 is. I respect my cash flow. Timing, awareness, and preparation keep my business steady. So that kind of sums up everything we talked about. At the very beginning today, the whole focus was if you were faced with a situation that you got no sales for a whole month, you had to go without making any sales for 1 month, would your business be sustainable? Could you survive? And the only way to survive that is having structure. Which 3 PDFs are the best for absolute beginners? All right, let me show you which 3 I would say for absolute beginners. I would say this one first, the All About Accounting and Tax. So this kind of tells you kind of base level, gives you the information you need. What's the difference? Why do you use each one? I would also say All About Financial Statements would be the next one. So All About Financial Statements will guide you through the basics of the statements, what they are. So what's a P&L? What is a balance sheet? How do you use that? There's some formulas in here showing you how do you use that information to make decisions. That's probably a really good one. And I would definitely do All About Inventory. That one really helps you get a handle on what you're doing with inventory. So those are the 3 I would recommend right off the bat. Who got that giveaway? I love discounts. Now that one's rigged for sure.
Congratulations.
Okay, you guys. The PDF, so they're there for purchase if you're interested. They are also in the marketplace, but I can't do free shipping in the marketplace. So it's best to buy them during a show. I offer them during my talk shows only on Fridays, pretty much Fridays, whenever I do a tax type talk show. They are actually, I'm in the process of not rewriting them, but I'm mixing things up a bit. I'm going to keep some of those. Some of them are going to get put into like larger bundles. So I'm taking kind of just, throwing some new stuff out there coming probably in April. So it's probably going to take me at least another month to get through kind of redesigning some stuff, but all the information is not going to change. So with that, you guys, we're going to go raid. Thank you for hanging out with me for 2 hours. I appreciate it. The fact is not lost on me that it is early in the morning and you are here listening to Business and Tax, and that means a lot. And that says a lot about you guys wanting to invest into your businesses. So thank you all for being here. I absolutely appreciate it. Let's go see who's on to raid. Let's go see what Liz likes. Did we go to her last time? I don't know. We're going to her again.